do liquidators investigate when companies go into liquidation? Well, of course liquidators investigate when companies go into liquidation. That's part of the job of the liquidator. Why else would it be necessary otherwise to have an independent person review the conduct of the directors? The simple fact of the matter is, if that were not necessary, then the directors could liquidate the company themselves, and this was essentially stopped many years ago to stop people liquidating their own companies. The whole point of having an independent person is to review the conduct of the director. Imagine you had a situation where you're driving down the road and unfortunately there's a car crash, and unfortunately something went wrong. Somebody may have been injured, or obviously the other car would have been smashed into, and so on. And nobody investigated, nobody reviewed, and you just simply got in your car and just drove off into the distance. I mean, clearly this just could not happen. Clearly, it's undoubtedly the case that a company going into liquidation doesn't happen necessarily because of the fault of the director. It can happen because of the fault of the director, and it can be because of misconduct. It can be due to a change in legislation. It can be a whole range of different reasons as to why a company goes into liquidation. But the simple issue is the matter has to be reviewed. An investigation is an essential ingredient of any insolvent liquidation in particular. There can be solvent liquidations investigated, but that's a separate issue altogether. The vast majority of liquidation investigations will be in an insolvent liquidation, such as a creditor's voluntary liquidation or a compulsory liquidation. Now, this should really surprise nobody. Ultimately, it's not the liquidator's job to sweep matters under the carpet. It's not the liquidator's job to do some sort of burial, as it may be known about. The point about liquidation is transparency, to act in the interests of the creditors. That is ultimately what the liquidator's duty is, to realise the assets so that you can make a distribution to creditors. Simple as that. Liquidator needs to become aware of the assets, the creditors, and any issues of conduct that may give rise to better realizations for the benefit of creditors. Now, this should really surprise nobody. Ultimately, it's what a liquidator is there to do, what it's there for. That doesn't mean, of course, that a liquidation will involve turning over every transaction, for the last 10 years, 6 years, whatever it is. That's not what we're talking about. The liquidator's job is to review what is perhaps obvious, not necessarily to do a forensic investigation. There can be circumstances in which a forensic investigation is necessary that should be undertaken, and so on and so on. But nobody should run away with the idea that there's going to be some sort of microscopic scrutiny of every transaction for years and years and years and years and years. That is not really what we're talking about here. What we're talking about here is a situation where things look out of place. Then the liquidator will look into that. And that's just a fact of life. Anyway, there you have it. Liquidation investigations. Questions, queries, concerns, give us a shout. We know Insolvency inside out.